In question 23, we're given a circle and we're told 1/4 is shaded here and 1/6 is shaded here. And we're asked to work out the unshaded part. Now what we can do is we can work out the shaded part and do one take away the shaded part. So let's do that. So we need to first of all do 1/4 plus 1/6. Now we need to make the denominators, the bottom numbers, the same. So let's write that word here, denominator. That's the bottom number. And the top number is called a numerator. And how can we do this? One way of doing it is to do your 4 times table and your 6 times table. So let's go ahead and do that. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, and so on. And we do the 6 times table. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, and so on. Now we look along here and find out which is the smallest number in the list. And we can see it's 12. So now the question is, how do we turn 4 into a 12 and 6 into a 12? Now if I multiply 4 by 3, I will get 12. But with this fraction, I've got to multiply the top number by 3 as well. So whatever I do to the bottom number, I have to do to the top number. So now this here is my fraction. 1 times 3 is 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Now moving on to the second fraction. So how do I turn 6 into a 12? So if I go along here, there's 1, 2, lots of 6. So I multiply the bottom number by 2. And whatever I do to the bottom number, I have to do to the top number. Whatever I do to the denominator, I have to do to the numerator. So I multiply this by 2. So now I have this fraction here. So 1 times 2 for the numerator and 6 times 2 for the denominator. Now it's easy because both the denominators are the same. So what I simply do is put a 12 at the bottom and I do 3 plus 2, which is 5. So now I know 5/12 is shaded, but I want to work out the unshaded part. So what I simply do is I do 1 take away 5/12. And one trick you should know, to turn one whole into 12ths, it's 12 divided by 12. So 12/12 is the same as 1. Take away 5/12. So remember that trick. To turn one whole into 12ths, you do 12 divided by 12. 12 as the numerator, 12 as the denominator. Now this is straightforward because the denominators are the same. So we simply put the 12 at the bottom here. And we do 12 take away 5. And 12 take away 5 is 7. So now we've worked out 7/12 is not shaded. Now I quickly want to go over adding 2 fractions where the denominators are not the same. So that's a 4 and that's a 6, using the bottom right left method, the Brill method. So we start the journey here at 4 on the left and we walk across and we multiply these two. So for the bottom, we multiply the bottom two numbers. So we do 4 times 6. Now you stood here. We're going to do the R now. We're going to go from bottom right and we're going to go across up that way. So we do 6 times 1. So we do 6 times 1 and put it over here. It's important you do it in this order. So we've done the right, and now finally we've got the L for left. So we go bottom left multiplied by the top right. So it's 4 times 1. So it's 4 times 1. And this plus sign here gets carried over and we put that there. So now this is our fraction. So let's try to work that out. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 4 times 1, which is 4, all over. Now 4 times 6, this is where you need to know your times tables. So what we can do is we can try our 6 times table. 6, 12, 18, 24. So we want 4 lots of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 times 6 is 24. So now let's add the numerators. 6 plus 4 is 10. And we put 24 at the bottom. Now if I look carefully, I can simplify this, make it simpler, because I can see they're both even numbers. So let's do that. I can divide the numerator by 2, and whatever I do to the numerator, I have to do to the denominator. So 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 24 divided by 2 is 12. Now there's a few things you have to know. You have to know how to do your times tables. And secondly, you have to know the parts of a fraction. And what you can do is learn the bottom, right, left, or the Brill method for adding fractions where the denominators are not the same.